Hello beauties, I'm back for another to buy or not to buy. In these videos, I talk about new makeup that's releasing or has sneak peeked, and I will try to convince myself not to buy anything. And I'm gonna also try to convince you not to buy anything because we can dupe most of these if we don't already have a dupe of them in our collection. If that sounds good, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and let's get started. My look this week with the Minka Palette from Adept. We talked about Adept's collab with Amy Loves Makeup, which is a beautiful collection and is still living in my head, and I'm still staying strong. It's a beautiful palette, what can I say? And I'm gonna use some BH brushes that I bought from TJ Maxx. Also, I have some tea here as always. We're not doing a candle today. Being considerate of the environment, apparently candles are not very good for animals and nature. Also, I am wearing Acid Rain, which is one of Clionagh's magnetic nail polishes. It's a beautiful deep red with magnetic purple. So the magnetic effect is purple. Hopefully you could see it on my nails. I had good luck magnetizing them. If I were to divulge my proclivities, I bought a good number of nail polishes from Clionadh. Do you all want me to do a swatch video of the nail polishes that I have from Clionadh? I have a lot of them. I know you all have been telling me in videos that, oh, your nails look really nice, what are you wearing? Or asking for recommendations and so on. So I could totally do stuff like that if there's enough interest. I talk too much, let's get into it. Not a whole lot has released. Thanks to the gods of makeup, they're thinking about my budget. Let's talk about this one. Y'all, I want to know your thoughts about this release from Ainsley Rain. So this one is $70. It is, I don't have a release date. Maybe some of you do. If you do, please share it with the rest of us. If you all remember, they had another Cosmic Dreamer palette that they released, I want to say 2 years ago, before all of these moon themed palettes that they have had. This one is gonna have 10 specialty shades, which is a multichrome, duochrome, or a holochrome, and 14 mattes, and it's a rainbow palette. It very much reminded me of the release from Secret Garden. Which brand is that? Bella Beauté Bar, which is also kind of a rainbowy palette, but only greens and pinks. So on the con side, it's huge. And it's a rainbow palette, so normally I wouldn't think twice about buying this, but Ainsley Rain has been pretty talked about recently, and I'm kind of interested in trying it as a brand. I've talked about it before. I could totally dupe this palette though, but I do see some shades that if they have a nice matte formula could be very nice in my collection, particularly that you can pull these out. You know, like I see some grays, like plum grays. I see some nice blues, nice deep greens. Those would be nice. And $70 is honestly, for everything else we've seen from Ainsley Rain, for this many shades, that's not a bad price. But if this goes on pre-order, I will be pissed. Ainsley Rain, I'm looking at you. Better not. You know what, beauties? I kind of want you all to decide for me. Should I buy this? You all know I have a budget quarterly and April is already over. So I'm in the middle of the second month of the quarter. I could pick this up as part of the budget for the quarter. So you all tell me in the comments below, do you want me to buy this and review it for you all? Or maybe you just think I should buy this just to have it for myself because you love Ainsley Rain and you want me to try it. This is released from Lights Lacquer. Not anything worth talking about. I have a bajillion things that look way more interesting than this. What's this one? Spoiled Lips Cosmetics. So the outside packaging was so exciting, but when I saw the inside, I'm like, what? No. This is like so muted down. It's never going to show up on my skin. Also, very neutral. But a lot of people have been talking about these Sol de Janeiro body sprays, and these are going to release or be available on May 10th. I don't know why I thought Sol de Janeiro had to become an MLM. Am I mixing them with another brand? I know they have some body washes that I've used that I really like. The smell is so good. That whole like generic smell that they have, the yellow bottles. I've used the body wash and I love the smell. I'm not a body spray person, so why do I even care? Anyway, I was just so curious. You all remember this? I have no intention of spreading rumors. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I'm thinking about another brand. So if you know, write to me below, because I should not be thinking this if they're not. I obviously don't have a very good opinion of MLMs. Violet France has released something else that's $81 for like a few very generic things. Absolutely not. Moving on. Okay, what's going on at Colourpop? Can we talk about this? And why are there so many influencers excited about this? Are we actually excited about this? Or is this just to get views because there is a trend about it? I'm just losing it over how this whole YouTube scene is working. But for the ones of you who might be too young to remember this, Colourpop released a palette called I Think I Love You. I think that was the name of the palette in 2017. Yeah, we're talking about 7 years ago. That was a 12-pan dupe of this palette that was actually way better and way more on point than this palette. And in fact, even the packaging was a dupe of this packaging. And you know what? If they had released that palette, I would be more excited about it, and there would be a higher percentage of possibility that I would pick it up than this. What is this? Another thing this reminded me of is this one. In fact, I'm more excited about this one, which is also a palette that released in 2017, because this has some colorful shades. I don't know what's going on at Colourpop. Let's talk about this one, Sugar Blooms from MBA Cosmetics. Now, I have a video reviewing 2 collections from MBA Cosmetics. I was not really impressed. Definitely not with the Sugar Buzz. Pastel colors have white in them. So maybe that's why that the shades just seemed too muted down. They had a white cast. So I'm very apprehensive to pick anything else up. Also, although people keep saying MBA Cosmetics is a very affordable brand for these kinds of shades, they're pretty much the same price as everybody else. Now, I'm not trying to dissuade you from picking anything up just because something didn't look good on me or worked a certain way on me. First of all, maybe I got a dud. And second, doesn't mean it's not going to look good on you. I'm just telling you what I experienced so that you can make a judicious decision. If you've had amazing experience with MBA Cosmetics or you like that kind of texture and quality and color, maybe this would work amazing for you. But because of that experience, I'm a little bit on the fence in general. I just see a lot of swatches. I also don't have the price here, but I'm expecting they're going to be pricey based on how they are generally priced for these kinds of shades. And I really don't have that kind of money. You know, everybody's telling you this. Most of the amazing things you hear in the space is from people who have affiliate codes. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're a salesperson for a company, you want to sell their product, totally understand this. And maybe those products look amazing on you. If they don't look amazing on me, doesn't mean I have to go buy them. Enough of that, and let's get to this. I'm going to go to Toya. The reason I'm using this palette is because I have not used this palette as much as I should have. You all remember, I wanted this palette so bad because it's so beautiful. But since picking it up, I've used it twice maybe. In fact, in the looks that I made with it, I used it as a complement palette. So I used it with another palette. And when I was thinking about Amy's palette, I was like, girl, you should first use up the palettes that you already own from Adept. Amy's palette is gorgeous. I love it. I would want to own it, but there's a lot of makeup I've already paid for, so I should really prioritize using them. I'm now picking a pencil-y brush, and I'm gonna use Maria out here. This is not gonna be a complicated look. It's just gonna be a very simple shadow look because I have to be somewhere, and this video is gonna be shorter than my regular to buy or not to buys because not a whole lot has launched. Let's talk about Clarity's palette, Forbidden Love. Now, it's a beautiful palette, but I can dupe it. Also, we have seen way too many purple palettes. Maybe we're now going into the summer and we have forgotten. Around Valentine's Day, you all remember how many purple palettes released? I can remember off the top of my head a few. collabs that were purple. I'm now bringing this under my lower lash line. And even outside of that, Melt has now released a monotone purple. Unearthly had a relatively similar palette some years ago. We have this palette. We have a dupe of this somewhere in our collection. I vaguely remember last year, Lethal Cosmetics had a purpley palette. Do we need another one? Do we? Okay, I'm now going to use Base Booster here. You all can't see the shift that I'm seeing, but this one is sort of a green to pink shift, and it's very holochromatic. So it's between this one and that one. Let me use the holochrom because I wonder if the pink shift is going to blend nicely into the purple shift. There it is. So beautiful. So if there are other people in the space talking about these brands, they could be affiliates with the brand, and it's totally fine. If you're an affiliate with the brand, obviously you like their products and it's totally fair to talk about them. I'm not going to buy any palettes that I cannot afford. I'm not going to go into any pre-orders because to me, requiring that I pay ahead of time because the brand doesn't want to do its own due diligence to know how many palettes to order is kind of disrespectful to my budget and time. So I'm not gonna do that either. I'm gonna blend this edge and I'm loving this look. So the eye look is done, something super easy and simple because I don't want to put too much time in. The holochromatic effect of this eyeshadow adds a lot more complexity to the look by itself because it's gonna look like I'm wearing greens from some angles and pinks from some other angles. So it's so beautiful. So definitely a no to clarity. Let's talk about Odins Eyes singles. I feel the same about Odins Eye. I feel like everybody has an affiliate code and they're actually working very closely with affiliate codes, which I think is an amazing influencer strategy. But I like to start seeing non-affiliates talk positively about these brands to get a better perspective. Now, I personally have had an experience with Odins Eye. I purchased some of their palettes and they didn't work on my skin. They just did not blend. They were not the worst quality shadows that I've seen, but I've seen way better quality for me. Again, the same quality might work completely differently on someone else. I do have, I suppose, maturing skin, so I just have less of an incentive to go buy $15 for multichromes that they have now released, which are probably going to be dupes of multichromes that I have from brands that are tried and tested by myself, like Terra Moons, like Clionadh, like a bunch of these other ones. And there's also opportunity cost, right? For every brand that I'm spending money on and testing, there is a brand out there that I could have tested that I'm not testing. And I have a whole list of brands that I want to test. So Odins Eyes just dropped from that list of brands that I want to try because I've already tried them and I didn't have the best experience. So again, a no for now, to open up space for brands that I've not tried that I could have an amazing experience with. Anyway, that was a long-winded answer to I'm not going to try these, but if you're curious and you've had different experience with Odins Eye, I'm excited for you. These are going to be $6 for mattes, $7 for regular shimmers, and as I said, $15 for multichromes, also beauties. If you have to buy something, use someone's code. Don't buy things full price. Now let's talk about this one, which is something I'm kind of excited about. This has been revealed from Dia Varone. Dia Varone is a brand that started last year, sometime later in the year. I have their first palette. They've had 2 palettes so far. I loved the first palette. It had some beautiful shades. I did not pick up the second palette because I thought it was very similar to the first palette. I also was on a no buy at that time. But because I had great experience with them, I'm very curious to know what they're doing. So I'm waiting to see this. If these photos are indicating anything, it kind of tells me that it's going to probably look very similar to Bella Beauté Bar's Secret Garden, which is a palette that's still living rent-free in my head because it's beautiful, but it's gigantic. Although it's magnetic, it's so expensive. So I'm curious to see what they have. Maybe I pick this up instead of that one. I mean, I haven't picked up that one. I was not intending to pick it up, but it's still living in my head rent-free. So we'll see. I've had good experience with Bella Beauté Bar with their Bejeweled palette, which is the reason why I'm still thinking about that Secret Garden palette. One other thing I didn't say about this Cosmic Dreamer palette at the beginning that I wanted to say, but I forgot. What's with that star-shaped mirror? Who's gonna use that? It looks like Claire's quality stuff. It's not kids makeup. You're paying $70 for it. Come on. Beauties, this is Shaz from the future. I was just editing this video and I realized that maybe I need to add this disclaimer. If I say things about brands that might seem a little bit negative or critical, it's because I'm interested in these brands and I want them to do a better job so that I continue purchasing from them. Most of the brands I talk about in these to buy or not to buy videos are brands that are on my radar, are brands that I've purchased from with my own money in the past, and also brands that I'm interested in purchasing from in the future if they release things that I'm interested in. Now, if I've had a bad experience with whatever I purchased from them, I do want to share that experience because I want you to be able to use my perspective to make a better purchase decision. But each individual experience is just one data point. Just because something didn't work for me is not an indication that it's not going to work for you. There are products that work really horribly on my skin tone, on my skin texture, and so on, that might work amazing on other people. There are a few products that I've talked about in this channel that are like that. So treat my comments as just one data point and make your own decisions. Also, I have no intention of dissing or invalidating someone else's experience with these products if they've actually had a really good experience with them. I would very much like you to write to me if you had a very different experience to help the viewers of this video make correct purchase decisions. So the purpose of critical comments is not to spread hate or rumors. If there is a brand that I actually want to cancel or I've stopped using, you're probably not going to see me talk about on my channel at all, because if I feel like a brand does not deserve my time, I'm just going to stop talking about the brand. Now let's go back to the rest of the video. This beautiful multi-chromey thing is gonna come soon from Adept Cosmetics, and I'm so glad that it's a gloss because I don't do glosses. Otherwise, I would have wanted to shower in it, but thankfully I don't have to worry about that. Okay, beauties, I completed the look offline. I'm gonna put everything I'm wearing in the description box below. Let's talk about Shuang. I'm just guessing it's a Chinese makeup brand that is coming to Look Healthy Store. So lookhealthystore.com is a website, and I just realized they also sell Narimi, which is an eyeshadow brand from China that I've been wanting to try. They have like the most beautiful palettes, so maybe I'm in luck on that front. But back to Shuang, and I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. They are releasing their highly pigmented chameleon eyeshadows, which look like multichromes and duochromes, like super pigmented ones, at least from the photo. They're coming to Look Healthy stores, so if you were waiting on these releasing, you can pick them up. I have never heard of this brand before, but that of course doesn't mean anything. I haven't heard of a lot of brands that might be amazing. If you know about this brand or you like this brand, write in the comments below. Some of those swatches look very delicious, if they look like that. Of course, a lot of the photos, beauties, you see online from someone who has seen photos and have the actual shades. A lot of photos are modified with Adobe and other tools, and a lot of shadows don't look like that. Now, it can go both ways. Sometimes they look way more vibrant, sometimes they're way more dull. But I'm always excited to hear about new brands. I just love trying new brands. So who knows, maybe one day, but not today. Let's talk about this one that I thought released a while ago, because I know I talked about this at least like 5 to buy or not to buys ago. And I don't do to buy or not to buys every week. So it must have been at least 2 months ago. What's going on? Why are things being revealed and then released so much later? I don't know. I don't want to say a whole lot about this because I know I've already talked about it. It's mostly neutral, so it's a no. This is actually kind of exciting. Profusion doing lip glaze shade. The reason for the excitement is Profusion is a pretty reasonable brand, and I generally like these liquid blushes or lip colors or products that can be used on both. Who knows, maybe even as eyeshadows. Now, people tell me Profusion is sold at Walmart. I've never seen it at the Walmarts near me, but I might go to Michigan sometime, and I know they do have them in the Walmarts in Michigan, so we'll see if I can find some. Not promising that I'm gonna buy anything. Again, I'm still on a partial no buy. So What's Up Beauty is talking about a new collection releasing, and I am curious to know what this is. Now, What's Up Beauty is a little bit above my budget, but I always like to hear and see new reveals and see what brands are doing, so that's exciting. But let's talk about this one that I'm kind of excited about. Not buying though, and I'll tell you why. The nude palette from Gloss Gods. The reason for the excitement is I like Gloss Gods as a brand. I like their quality. I have a lot of their product. I generally like using them. They're very reasonably priced for the quality. And one thing I saw in this palette that I've not seen in their past palette that makes me happy is that they are now including a lot more deep tone matte shades. For someone with dark features, the past palette that I purchased from Gloss Gods, not the ones that were 100% shimmer, of course, but the ones that had mattes, I couldn't really use them because I like to do deeper tones in my outer V in general. And because their palettes were not as friendly for someone with my kind of features in that sense, it was just difficult to use them. There is definitely something to be said about some brands not being person of color friendly, and beauties, I am a Middle Eastern, so I'm considered to be a person of color. But I also realize that if a brand is producing products predominantly for a population of people who have lighter features, they might not sell enough of their products to people who look like me. So it's a business decision that they're not going to produce products that are going to be friendly to people with my features. And Gloss Gods being a Swedish brand, they're probably producing products for Swedish people who are on average much more fair toned than me. I've heard the same complaint about Glam Shop. I realized after talking to people that not everybody knows where Poland is even located. So Poland is a country in Eastern Europe. I used to travel there a lot for work. And Polish people are also much more fair toned. You don't see people who look like me with darker features. So it makes sense that their products are going to predominantly be produced for people who are lighter skin toned and have lighter features. So I'm not complaining about it. At the end of the day, it's a business. They need to sell those products. If nobody like me is going to buy it, it makes no sense for them to produce that kind of a product. But seeing that Gloss God is doing this now, I'm happy. Although a nude palette is probably not a palette I'm going to pick up. And with that, we come to the end of this video, beauties. I hope you enjoyed this video. If I talked about anything you're thinking about picking up, write to me in the comments below. Maybe I can talk you out of it. I hope you're having an amazing weekend. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up before leaving if you watched this far, and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, I have a whole playlist of videos like this that is going to be recommended to you on the screen about now. Have an amazing day, and until next time, bye!